Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Smoke and Mirrors series looking at shared ownership in UK. In my last video, we talked about unregulated increases to service charges that can jump by as much as 100% in as little as 3 years. Today, I want to unpack service charge reconciliations and Section 22 of the Landlord and Tenant Act 1985, which is basically your golden ticket to look behind the curtain and audit your own landlord. So here is exactly how it works. By definition, service charges are payments that leaseholders make to a freeholder, so your landlord, to cover the share of managing and maintaining a communal building. So this usually covers things like cleaning, window cleaning, any maintenance, including communal grounds, so if you have terraces or outside spaces, any utilities such as water and electricity, and if you have gas, then gas. Essential sort of safety things like fire door inspections, sprinkler inspections, alarms, lifts, health and safety, anything else related to fire, any CCTV, if you have any, pest control, and a reserve fund. And a reserve fund is normally something that's quite a large ticket on the service charges. Ours is £33,000 a year, and it's not something that landlords can dip in and out of. It's basically there to save up for any future large costs, such as replacing a roof or completely replacing a lift or anything large like that. And basically, the more facilities you have in a shared space, like an on-site gym, a concierge, a workspace, like kind of WeWorks type, the more services, the higher the costs. So here is a massive statutory rule that is very unhelpful, and it's reasonableness. And I hope I pronounce it correctly. I just can't get this word out. But basically, under the law, your landlords can only recover costs if the charges are reasonable and if the work is done to a reasonable standard. In addition, the services must explicitly be included in your lease agreement. And normally, and this is a big one, landlords are only allowed to recover what they actually spent. They are not legally allowed to make any profit. So if a subcontractor tells you that they are charging your landlord £100 for a sprinkler inspection, and then the landlord charges you £170, you have a right to challenge that and even go to a tribunal. So if you think any of your charges are unreasonable, you have the right to challenge them through a property tribunal. But before you can do that, there's a catch. How can you fight something you can't see, right? So this is where the Section 22 comes in. This is basically your legal crowbar to force open the locked doors of their books that they are spending your money on. So I have a really nice analogy for what Section 22 is like. If you imagine going to a restaurant for a dinner, and at the end you ask for a bill, and then a waiter comes in and hands you a napkin, and on that napkin there's 2 lines, and line 1 says food £460,000, and underneath a bullet point saying your share £270. Would you pay for it? No, you would want to see an itemized bill. That's exactly what Section 22 does. Landlords do this every single year. They give you an advanced estimate once a year. You paid monthly, and then once the accounts are closed, they reconcile it and issue a formal Section 21 service charge summary plus a demand for payment. And I haven't actually done research into this, what the legal requirements are, but ours demanded we paid in 6 weeks, which was unreasonable, I think. Once the Section 21 charge summary hits your doormat, you then have a chance to request, within 6 months of receiving that, a Section 22 backup. So you can drop them an email or letter, but emails are probably faster, and you explicitly state that you are exercising your right under Section 22 to inspect the accounts that are sitting behind that summary and reconciliation demand, right? Once you put that notice in, the landlords have 1 month to provide facilities for you to inspect and copy all of the supporting documents. And when I talk about facilities, normally because it's such a large number of documents, they will probably give you like a OneDrive link or some kind of a zipped folder or something like that. You then have additional 2 months to look through it, save it, and challenge them if the service charges don't add up. So let's go deeper into what qualifies as a correct Section 22 response. And my first ever service charge reconciliation was for 23-24 year. It's now closed. I had a stage 1 rejected, stage 2 rejected. It's now currently sitting with Housing Ombudsman. And honestly, I wish I knew what I know now about Section 22. And I wish I knew it back in November 2024 when the Section 21 summary was actually issued. I would have done things completely different. So hopefully you will find this helpful. Anyway, your landlords cannot legally just hand you an internal system spreadsheet, screenshot of work orders, purchase orders, and call it a day. Section 22 demands that the inspection of final, settled, third-party invoices and proof of payment. You are legally entitled to see a complete, and I mean complete, audit trail that consists of, number 1, the original invoices, showing the breakdown of labor and or materials. Number 2, any underlying maintenance or service contracts to check if the rates match what you've been charged, and a proof of payment. That's bank statements or payment vouchers showing that the landlord actually paid that specific invoice out of your service charges. And I'm going to give you a real life messy example of what happened to us in 23-24, specifically about cleaning. So let's say that a landlord hands you over, as a response to Section 22, 12 bulk portfolio invoices, right? So you request, hey, you are charging us more than double for cleaning. Where's the proof? Show me under Section 22. So they give you 12 invoices that are for portfolio of their properties, and they total almost £500,000. And each one of them says 96, which means they relate to 96 different properties of your landlord. And the total is like 33 to 54,000 pounds per month. So they fluctuates per month. There's zero backup, zero proof of delivery. There's just nothing showing, okay, you just shown me £500,000 worth of invoices and you're charging me £46,000. How does this relate? So they then give you a spreadsheet, and it's not even a proper spreadsheet. It's a screenshot, a PDF screenshot of a line by line of those 12 invoices, and then one extra column saying renowned house, and then the portion of what you're paying. That is not a legally allowed Section 22 response. I personally have repeatedly asked for proper compliant backup, and my landlord flatly refused and dropped me the ultimate defense line. If you remain dissatisfied with our position, you have the option to apply to a first-tier tribunal. So that is something I am currently considering, but you have the right to challenge them back. And do not fall for the scare tactics. You don't actually have to go to a tribunal in the first place. And again, I'm currently investigating this as an option because there is a strict 6-month rule for reporting. So your number one option is that a tribunal handles a fairness of the cost. So again, the reasonableness. So are the charges reasonable under Section 19? But Section 22 is actually a criminal statute. So if a landlord fails to comply with a valid Section 22 request without a reasonable excuse, they are committing a summary criminal offense. So you can bypass the tribunal and report them directly to your local housing authorities enforcement team, so your local council, and they can then prosecute the managing agent in a magistrate's court. If you then eventually go to a first-tier tribunal, not because they are not compliant with Section 22, but because of what they are actually charging you and they are not unreasonable, the lack of documentation literally hand delivers you a win. Under a case law like Regent Management versus Jones 2010, the burden of proof is on the landlord to justify the costs. And if they turn up to a tribunal with nothing but 12 portfolio invoices and internal spreadsheets, the judge will literally penalize them. And as a result, they can slash your bill right down to either zero or a reasonable amount that judge will rule, right? So that's a little deep dive into Section 22. To summarize, estimates are issued once a year, you pay monthly charges. Once a year, these charges are reconciled, and you then have the right within 6 months of getting a demand for payment to ask for a backup for legally compliant proof of actual invoices and actual payments, and don't take no for an answer. And if your landlord does not comply, straight to your council. If they do comply and you find the charges are unreasonable, straight to tribunal. So I hope this deep dive into Section 22 gives you some legal confidence in what you need to do to control your household finances as a first-time shared ownership buyer. And I really would love to know, have you ever experienced pushbacks from your landlords? What is your experience? Have you challenged anyone? I really would love to know. So drop your comments in below, and in my next video I will continue on service charges and the mysterious Section 20B, which is what we've been issued for the following service charges. And that's basically an 18-month rule for service charges to be put on hold, or the reconciliation to be put on hold. So more on that in my next video. There's lots of loopholes to cover, so watch out. In the meantime, hit the like, subscribe, share for more property hacks, and drop your stories below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.